This video is brought to you by Recurrent, an essential EV tool that gives free access to TFL EV viewers in the US. With Recurrent, EV shoppers can check range and battery info on used cars. EV owners can connect to compare their range and battery health to similar vehicles. And EV sellers can use Recurrent to get more money for their sales. With Recurrent, we can find, drive, and sell electric cars positively. Click on the link in the description below to get free access to Recurrent's amazing EV tools.
So I have been living with the Nissan Leaf since September of 2024.
A lot of cows. Okay, cool.
Charging Berry.
This seems to be the fabric of the day. Things not being where they're supposed to be.
Really not going good.
And that was basically back in summer. So I was really only commuting the 40 miles to Boulder, 40 miles back up north in the warm weather. It is now freezing. I think the high today is like 19 degrees or something like that. So I have experienced the life of an EV owner in the cold. And people had warned me about it, they had, but I didn't quite know what that would be like. But all this to say, here she is. I have a much more well-rounded opinion about owning an electric vehicle now that I have lived with one for longer than 2 weeks. So this is my update about the little Nissan Leaf. It's gonna be great, let's do it. So the first thing that I really like about the Leaf is her size. She's small, but not as small as I would think for a car called the Leaf, but it's very maneuverable and it's super easy to pull into this relatively small garage. There is usually another car in here, a little Toyota Camry. So I like how easy it is to maneuver, and I have driven my fair share of big trucks since working at TFL, including the Chevy Silverado EV, which they thought would be like, hey, Mary gets an upgrade, but really it was just terrifying.
This is gonna be an absolute nightmare trying to either pull in or back up into one of these spots.
Okay.
So back up.
So you have to back up. You look so uneasy about this.
Kind of crazy actually how much room is back here. $53, so that's crazy.
Yikes. So I learned that I actually do like the smaller EVs, even though the bigger ones do tend to have that longer range. This car is not good in the snow.
I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah, I also hate that, like the apocalyptic chime.
What?
All right, you got it, girly.
Oh, that sounds so bad.
I may have made a horrible mistake. Oh, almost didn't close my garage.
But I do like the technology features that this car has. I have no complaints about that. I like Apple CarPlay. I've never had a car that had Apple CarPlay before, so I mean, like anything from the cars that I've had in the past would be an upgrade. I like the technology in general. It's really easy to use with the buttons along the bottom. One bummer about the technology and the climate controls in here are there no heated seats. No heated seats. And on the topic of heat, this bad boy usually has 160 miles of range, sometimes a little bit more. During the winter, that range plummets because whenever I turn on my heat, it drops. The heat is currently on. Cool, cool, cool. We got 152 miles of range and 90%. Not bad. All right, watch what happens when I turn the heat off. Now we have 163 miles. Driving an EV in the winter is, I'd say 5 times more anxiety inducing than driving one in the summer, and add 200 plus more anxiety points if you don't have consistent chargers. But then again, it's a cheap little guy. It's not like I'm living in luxury here in the Nissan Leaf. Also, the defrost system is pretty bad. It doesn't really even work. I know that Nissan is trying to get some software updates to get that HVAC system updated, but that is TBD in the vehicle world right now. So if you are looking into getting one of these, just know that as of right now, in January of 2025, is not great. I also get anxious. This is more of just a Mary worry than like anyone who may own a Nissan Leaf worry, but I guess not really, because if you are leasing it, you're kind of like me in that it's kind of borrowed. So it kind of feels like you're driving around a little rental car. And that just makes me nervous because it's technically not mine. So that's something I don't like too. But again, that's kind of more of a Mary thing than anything else. Something I was on the fence about early on and figured out how to like is the regen braking. It took me months to figure out how to pronounce that word correctly. Regenerative. I think that was right. Regenerative. Yeah. Regenerative braking is something that I was like, absolutely not, hard pass when I first tried it. And then I actually really like it. It's really good for stop and go traffic. You never have to hit the brake, especially if you time it right. However, something that I didn't really realize when I started using it, and maybe this makes me look like a dumb blonde, but I don't know, is you can still hit the brake. The brake is not unavailable to you. It's just that you will be using more recycled energy with the regen than you would be without it. So that's something that I hated in the beginning and eventually really liked, which I was kind of pleased to see that I could change my mind about something and have it be fine.
I have also gotten used to level 1 at-home charging. So this is the charger that TFL gave me to use for the Leaf when I'm at home. And now I just plug it in, every night like it's my cell phone. The level 1 obviously does not charge fast at all. But I've gotten more used to it. And realistically, I only need about 30% of a charge to make it down to Boulder. Weather permitting and all of the other fun things that make it so that your range survives. But yeah, generally speaking, when I leave here and get to Boulder, it's 40 miles. And if I start 100% from here, I usually end up with 70 when I arrive at TFL. So, not terrible. It's a little anxiety inducing, but not as much as it could be, I think. Also, if I ever get down to TFL on a very low charge, they do have a level 2 charger. So, at home it's really, really slow. I think, it takes like 5 hours to charge 15%. Not ideal, but like I said, I do have chargers here. There are also chargers at the ranch. So I've learned how to deal with that range anxiety just by planning ahead and knowing where I'm going to charge and knowing that I have a place to charge. So
the at-home charging also means that I am not paying a lot in gas every month. I pay $15 extra a month on my rent. That was the deal I worked out with my landlord for using that level 1 charger. I mean, from what I can tell, that is way less than what I would be paying in gas, because one fill up is $30, and you do a couple of those a month or more, you're easily hitting $60, $90 a month. So $15 a month for a little bit of extra electricity in my house is really not that bad at all in my book. I like the space in the Leaf. I'm kind of a pack rat. I mean, right now even there's like a projector back there. I don't know what that is. I usually have my gear bag back there. I have like overnight bags back there. It can fit a lot in the back seat, and in the trunk as well. So I like the space in it for one person. I'm not hauling around a family. I don't need a ton of space, but the space that it offers is great. Look at all these heroes shoveling stuff. If I get stuck in the snow, it will be such an embarrassment. But I'm not gonna get stuck in the snow. Hello, sir, in the red jacket. You're doing a great job. From what I can tell, in the warm weather, more specifically in the warm weather, it's reliable. I haven't had it for that long, and I'm aware of that. But overall, I really do think it's just a reliable little commuter car. I wasn't so sure about that in the beginning, but I do think, I can count on her. Well, her engine's not gonna start exploding or something like that, chiefly because she doesn't have an engine. I mean, it's reliable for my purposes. It's better than putting all of those miles on my car. For the record, I drive a Toyota RAV4 from 2007. My RAV4 is great in the snow. It's got great tires and just is a lot more reliable than this one. I don't feel safe driving this in the snow, I'll give you that much. Ah! Ooh, see, there's an example of it not doing so great in the snow. Oh my God, I hate the snow. She's gonna do a bad job here. You got it, girlie. But again, if you're not driving 40 miles down scary highways, you can get from A to B. So yeah, the combination of no heated seats, range being drastically decreased with the heat being turned on, the defrost kind of giving me some attitude, and the overall incapability of it in the snow doesn't, infuse me with confidence for this vehicle in the wintertime. It's not like you buy a Nissan Leaf to go across the Arctic tundra. Like, this is a commuter car, and that's what I've been using it for. And when the weather's fine and the tires don't need to be switched out, and when the heat doesn't need to be on, when all the things that you might need when you own a car, when none of those things are happening, it's a great little commuter car. It is not a bad vehicle to own if it's not your only car and assuming your commute is not very long. You want a gas vehicle in addition, is kind of my thought. I'm very excited for summer to come back. I'm not a huge winter fan as is, but dealing with range anxiety and additional just, oh my God, I might die in the snow anxiety is not my favorite thing, and I'm looking forward to that passing. But yeah, I like the little Nissan Leaf. I also did figure out a name for her. Her name is Polly, like a Polly Pocket, because she's a little blue gal. I don't know if Polly Pockets are blue, but I'm sure there's one that wears a blue dress or something. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.